In a video I made a while ago, I showed the impact a theme has on a story, and how forgetting your own theme can degrade the quality of your story over its duration. But I'd like to contrast that with the complete lack of a theme, and I can't think of a better example than the movie Sky High. I had no idea this film existed when it came out, which is just as well because it isn't very good. So I hope you don't mind spoilers, because there's really nothing to spoil. I watched it because I saw a clip with Bruce Campbell and thought, oh cool, a movie with Bruce Campbell in it, and that should be fun. And it turned out to be like the Nick Frost in Attack the Block adverts, where it looked like he was a lot more prominent than he really was, where he's literally not even a tertiary character, he's just on screen for like roughly half a second. But anyway, I digress. Will Stronghold lives with his superhero parents. His father has super strength and his mother can fly. Will is about to attend his parents' alma mater, Sky High, a school located on a secret floating campus. He's anxious because he hasn't developed any superpowers yet. The school has a rather ridiculous binary system, and Will's lack of powers lands him in the hero support curriculum and becomes a sidekick due to his lack of powers. Okay, stop right there. At this point, I'm sure you're thinking exactly what I was. That the theme is that you don't need special powers to be a hero, right? Well, back to the synopsis. Will's father shows him his hidden trophy room, the secret sanctum. He shows delight for the pacifier, which is a weapon he took from his presumed dead arch-nemesis, Royal Pain, years earlier. We meet the bus driver, Ron Wilson, who also doesn't have any powers, the joke of course being that Will might end up like him, though it's a little bit crass. Will makes some friends, one of which is Gwen, who will be relevant later, and comes into conflict with a pyrokinetic student, Warren Peace, which is a very nice name I will confess, whose supervillain father was imprisoned by Will's father. In the ensuing fight, Will develops his father's super strength. Wait, what? Well, I guess I was wrong about the theme. But if I am wrong, then why did the movie start the way that it did? It sets him up as an underdog despite his lineage, but it's removed that angle straight away without putting it to use. So why bother? All the growth from the start of the movie feels completely empty, doesn't it? Is it just a device to give the fight a false tension it doesn't deserve? But never mind, moving on. Upon being transferred to the hero curriculum, Will spends more time with Gwen and more team drama nonsense happens. Gwen comes over to Will's house to invite his parents as honoured guests to the homecoming dance, and they spend the evening together. On the day before the dance, Gwen tricks Will into throwing a party at his house and has some underling secretly steal the pacifier. More teen drama happens, and Will breaks up with Gwen and refuses to attend the dance. After discovering the pacifier was stolen, Will searches his father's yearbook and sees a student resembling Gwen named Sue Tenney, who disappeared before his parents' graduation. Assuming Tenney became Royal Pain and Gwen is her daughter, Will heads to Sky High to stop her. At the dance, Gwen reveals herself as Royal Pain. As she was de-aged by the pacifier during her presumed death, she de-ages the students, staff and Will's parents, intending to raise them as supervillains as revenge against the school for petty and convoluted reasons. After reconciling with Layla, Will teams up with her, Warren, Ron, and the other sidekicks to rescue the captives and defeat Gwen's allies. Supervillain shenanigans take place, and Will suddenly acquires his mother's ability to fly and saves the day. With Sky High saved, everything gets tied up in a neat little bow and the credits roll. It's mentioned that the bus driver, Ron, falls into a vat of toxic waste and becomes a superhero, and I'll come back to this fact later while I'm ranting. The whole thing feels like an empty rehash of good versus evil nonsense we've heard a million times before. Although I don't want to be entirely dismissive, there was a Chekhov's gun thing going on with the sidekick's superpowers becoming useful in some very specific circumstances, and it gives the spotlight to someone besides the protagonist, which I appreciate, but it is otherwise a bad movie. But what if we give this a bit of a rewrite? Let's look at it again with a theme in mind. You don't need special powers to be a hero. We can have the movie start the exact same way, right up until the fight with Warren, but Will doesn't gain any powers. Instead, we can be innovative and use objects and the environment to create a thrilling scene where the underdog overcomes the odds. Maybe he uses a tray to bat away a fireball, slips under the table for cover, throws a drink across the room at Warren's face, and closes the gap to score a blow. Or we can just have him get pyrokinetically dunked on. Any drama is good drama in these things. It doesn't really matter if he wins or not at this stage, right? It's about the growth, right? And sticking to the theme. Either way, the underdog effect is still going strong. A lot of the small things need to be tweaked, but that's not difficult. There's a save the citizen test he has to get through, which is as simple as it sounds. We could restructure the test to leave creative ways to win without the use of superpowers. We could change the powers of the opponents to facilitate this. Perhaps instead of being stretchy, one of them could exude a sticky gelatinous substance, which at first is used to subdue Will, but Warren is able to burn him free. They subdue their opponents together, and Will forces the goo guy to create more of it, and they use it to jam the mechanisms of the machine beneath the citizen and win. Right? There's lots of different things you can do to tweak it to be around the theme. All these little scenes that don't really seem to matter much otherwise. When we get to the final showdown, there are a few different ways we could handle it. We could build on the innovative style in the earlier fight, like I suggested, using objects, pulleys, lights, and whatever else to swing the fight in Will's favour. If we use a large series of things, then that could be enough. Or he could score a blow or two before getting cornered, and he can lean on the fact that he's not a threat to get her to drop her guard, while near some kind of environmental opportunity like a ledge or a tool Will could grab and use in a moment of distraction. Lastly, there's the diplomatic option. To facilitate this, we'd have to set some things up throughout the whole movie that can be called upon to manipulate Gwen. This approach isn't very visually stimulating, and to be fair, doesn't suit the type of movie this aims to be, but if done correctly, it could definitely be very satisfying. A good example being the 2022 movie The Menu, where Ralph Fiennes plays a famous chef who's gone a touch loopy and wants to immolate himself, his staff, and a few specific customers in an artistic swan song after a career of artistic cooking. One of the customers is able to reach him after looking in his private room and seeing pictures of his humble beginnings. She says that she finds the food he's been serving unsatisfying and asks for a burger instead, arguing that food should be about what the customer wants. This rudimentary fact digs past the layers of fallacies that he's built up in his own mind, and he complies, seemingly desiring her approval. After a single bite, she asks if she can have the rest to go, and although this is something of a comical moment, I thought it was extremely strong storytelling. Could we use this concept to reach Gwen and find a peaceful resolution? Perhaps, but it can't come out of nowhere. We'd have to show that Will has this kind of linguistic skill earlier in the movie, or it will feel out of place. So an innovative fight would require innovative scenes earlier, and a diplomatic final scene would require diplomatic scenes earlier. But both of these would still fit our theme and provide strong alternatives. But we can see a more solid structure either way, with our choices having rippling effects throughout the narrative, regardless as to what path we choose. We have only to watch the movie again to see the hodgepodge of ideas that incoherently fall apart when there's no cohesive guidelines underneath. The whole thing feels flat and doesn't have a guiding thought. Lastly, the notion that the bus driver got his superpowers from a toxic waste spill is just nonsense. It could be mentioned that he developed latent powers, thus implying that Will might have powers one day, but that would also undermine the theme. The point is that he doesn't need powers to be a hero, and neither do you. If you enjoyed the video and you're interested in some of my other content, my newsletter link is in the description below, where I am giving away a free copy of my game every month until I've gotten rid of them all. And lastly, this is Jim. Jim is a lycanthrope who works as a scribe on a submarine. That's right, he's a like and subscribe. When Jim first became a werewolf, he initially thought of it as a superpower, but quickly came to learn that it was not as appealing as one might imagine. He was subdued and experimented on for years until he was released through legal action and was able to show in court that he is able to control himself. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.